All right, I'm doing the audio recording for us, so
Okay. Hey,
I
I hit junior executive day before yesterday.
what?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, Mr. Novatech.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Start calling you Mr. Novatech.
Hey, I received it.
Hey, let me hold something.
Hey, hey, I can show you how I got it.
Huh?
I can let you hold some information. I can show you how I got it.
Look, I'm on it, man. I'm on it. I need about 5K so I can go and jump this up, get this thing up about 15.
Hey,
And
you
I
know, when he created the heavens and the earth, he spoke it.
hey, and I'm I think about January, I'm gonna have a little piece of the heaven at 10 or 11.
You know that prayer we pray, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Let His will be done here on earth as it's done in heaven."
Mm-hmm.
All that's true, man.
Look at this. Look at another Marcus Bradley entering the another Marcus Bradley entering the conference. How do we get two of these Marcus Bradleys in here?
How you doing, man?
Hey son, how's it going? He's at work too, so we all doing the thing.
Okay.
We all doing the thing. So I got my good friend James, my dad, and my son here. Wow. I guess I go ahead and tell y'all that see the two in here that's in the wedding already. And Mr. James, you said you was probably gonna pop up. Did y'all even make a decision if y'all still coming down or not?
No, we hadn't made no decision.
Yeah, look, tell it, come on down there. Get your feet in the sand. That's where we going. Oh, get your toes dirty. Come on, we need it. You know, hey, the more the merrier. We're gonna get crunk. We're gonna get crunk.
Oh yeah, I know how y'all roll now.
Yeah, hey. I need the two other guys in here gonna be standing with me. We got our suit measurements going in at the beginning of the month, and we're gonna be ready to roll. Cause my suit gonna be custom. I get a custom made suit, bro. Believe that?
That's
Shoes.
that's how you got to step.
Boy, I'm finna be ultra clean.
You got to step like that, bro.
You talking about Mr. Clean? I'm the black
Okay,
man.
hey, what's up?
What up? What up?
Waiting no more people to walk in. I was gonna get off at 9, but I'm picking up 2 extra hours.
Okay. Yeah, I'm stay here about 10:30, 11. All right, gentlemen. I'll give them about 3 or 4 more minutes, and then we'll get started.
All right.
How everybody week going so far?
Liking the new job. I don't got no complaints so far. It's chills, relax. I'm just minding my own business.
Yeah, man, I like that. I like a job like that. Hey James, did you select your auto reinvestment option?
No, I know. I'm on there, bro. I get up, do it every Friday or Saturday. You know, I make it happen. I'm gonna do it though, but you know, I get
Yeah,
up trying to beat.
did it.
I try to beat the market to see if I'm gonna wake up before it hit.
Yeah, I did it for everybody under my downline. I did it for everybody because I got tired of getting them calls. Uh, can you help me? You know, it's a bunch of older cats. They mean well too, but they cannot operate computers. I'm like,
Well,
look,
yeah.
How you doing,
and
miss?
we trying to find a mode or medium to move this money out of Cash App, so we stopped dealing with Cash App, James.
Yeah.
That's the next step is to get out of Cash App because they're gonna be in your pockets after these elections. You best believe the Republicans gonna find a way to get that money.
They coming.
And if they take back the House and Senate, it's a wrap.
Yep.
It's a wrap. So
Keep me posted.
look, hey, we trying to find. We looking for every opportunity, every Bitcoin wallet that's not attached to the United States. Shoot, we need somebody gonna be their own bank. One of these millionaires we know to open up their own bank, and we just go through them.
That'll work.
I mean, you are Mr. Novatech though, so I mean, Mr. Novatech, what you got for us? No? Nothing yet. Oh, he muted himself on that one, Dad. He was like,
Oh no, I got my son in the truck for football practice. I ain't want to have that background noise, but we finna talk to him about they got homecoming Saturday. They got an event Sunday for the seniors. He a senior, so just market to that. That's all. Oh, hey, I got you, brother. I banker. That sounds good. That's a good title.
Look, all right, I'll pray us in.
God give you vision for the people.
We're gonna get started. I'm gonna pray us in, gentlemen. All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time of fellowship with the brothers. We ask that you guide our thoughts and our minds and let knowledge and wisdom be passed around for all others to enjoy and spread to the others that aren't here with us. We just ask you to watch over anyone that's not here and everyone that is influenced by the gentleman represented here. Bless the families that's represented here, and may all benefit from this knowledge and be able to teach others. Each one teach one. And we count it all joy in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, gentlemen. Since you are the only three here, you are now my panel. So lucky for y'all. I'm just thankful that y'all presented yourselves here and joined this another phase of the XY perspective. Tonight's panel is over accountability and responsibility. And I know these things may sound one and the same, but in light of what we will discover tonight, we know that they're vastly different. So all y'all opinion is welcome if you can. If you can't, like Marcus, I know you're at work, just jump in when you can. All right, anybody want to say anything to the group before we start? No? All right, let's do it. The first question for tonight is, can you define accountability and can you define responsibility in your own words? Anyone?
Well, for me, accountability, things that you have a means to manage and take care of. I use the word manage, but accountability is something that you can manage and take accountability for it to be able to do your part. What you are directly held responsible for, the responsibility side comes with being able to do and to have others to do. And you have to also be willing to accept what's being done by others that you are responsible for. Parents, there is a fine line between accountability and responsibility. Children, they are your responsibility. And then within the law, you still are accountable for what their actions may bring forth to a certain age and to a certain degree. There's a difference between the two. Most people have a difficult time being able to respond or know the difference. But there is a difference, and it helps you as you grow. And again, for me, I had to have both in the field that my profession is in, and being accountable and being responsible for others who are under your command, so to speak. Accountable and taking that responsibility, to me, goes hand in hand. I try not to separate the two, but I know the difference between the two.
Yes, sir. That's a good point. That is a great point, because I too work in a field where I was not only responsible for a mission, with other people, my soldiers. I was accountable for the success or failure of that mission.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna let I get James a second if he wants to comment on that. Mr. James, can you define accountability and responsibility and what the differences to you? What are they?
Yes, accountability, in my term, my definition for accountability is one who's who's depending on to supply, you know, your needs for others,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a family member, wife, a friend. Responsibility, in my opinion, the terminology is being able to be held to a standard. That's my definition for responsibility.
And that is the exact kind of definition that I was going to use in my example as well.
Mhm.
Being accountable is more of a leadership term, and the responsible part is more a results type term. You know, you can be given part of a mission and be responsible for a task, and that task, those tasks combined, com, com, makes for a mission. But the leader of that mission is then accountable for
Mhm.
all tasks being done in a timely and efficient, effective manner. And then the success or failure is then measured off of those tasks. And if it's messed up, the buck stops with that leader. He or she is accountable for what happened in the mission. And I think as men, we jump so much into the quote unquote provider slash responsible part that we forget that we're accountable for the stuff as well. And we just lump it all together. We're pressured, we're rushed, we're expected most of the time to just do and provide. And that's where people judge us, up and down, straight across. Hey, can he provide? Yes, then he's responsible now, and he's a responsible guy. But is he accountable? And a lot of guys fall short of that because they simply just don't know what it is. And like Dad said, being responsible for the household is one thing. Being accountable for those children's actions outside of the household is a whole different thing. And we we're gonna touch on all of that stuff here in a little bit. Marcus, I don't know if you can talk right now. You got customers? Okay, yeah, he's muted. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. And so we all agree that they are not the same, and they are different. Mr. James, I want to ask you this first. What comes first, accountability or responsibility?
As an adult, or just
As, as you sit right now, as a man,
accountability.
I say
accountability.
responsibility.
Okay. Let James say that, and then I'll get your point real quick, Marcus. You said accountability comes first, James. Why not? I mean, why so?
Because taking care of the family, that they're counting on me to provide,
Mm-hmm.
to protect.
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
then you can piggyback on how close in similarity the responsibility is to the accountability. My responsibility is outside of the family, further. It's like work. When I go out the house to provide,
Uh-huh.
I have a responsibility to bring that check in, that
Okay.
finance in, to take care of the bills,
Okay.
to feed them. You know, that's just my outlook on it, and that's how I've always looked at things growing up as a young adult into my adulthood.
Okay. Marcus, you said you to the question of what comes first, um, responsibility or accountability, and you said responsibility. If you can respond when you can, let me know.
I only said that because I feel like to if you want to put them in like which one comes first, accountability or responsibility, I say responsibility comes first because you got to be willing to take that next step. And then all the issues and everything that comes with it, you have to be the one they fall back on. That's where the accountability comes into play.
Okay. I like that. James, you got a rebuttal? Yes? No?
No, I don't have a rebuttal. And like Marcus stated, where we stand, and that's why I was asking to clarify, when you asked my output on it, as a married family man, as a man of God, that's why I answered the way I am.
Right. And I'd like to welcome real quick the third Marcus in the group, Marcus Massey. He's in California. How you doing, sir? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, good sir. How y'all doing?
We doing well. Right. And since you're in here, I'm gonna go and get you right on in here. Since don't give you no time to rest. We are talking about accountability and responsibility. And what comes first as an adult man, responsibility or accountability in your situation?
My responsibility, growing up, particularly in the South area, they have a real big thing about accountability there. Consequences to your action and everything like that, which it kind of is a twofer. It crosses over to your responsibility. Mm-hmm. I could be responsible and still do things that's not holding me accountable, right? And so it was a real big thing, accountability. Then you start turning that over, coming from a military family, accountability, right? Mm-hmm. Which makes you start thinking about some of the things that you do before you do them. How's that going to affect everybody when you make that decision, let alone yourself?
All right. Dad, what comes first as an adult man for you? Accountability, responsibility?
For me, it's more responsibility. Mm-hmm. Being responsible for my household, what's in it, what happens to it, what happens with it, in and everybody, and including what's a part of that household. The accountability comes with being able to make sure that I'm responsible for everything that is accountable within and around. Okay. So responsibility comes first for me, then I can account for everything within and that's a part of, including my loved ones, family members, and whatever. But for me, I take the responsibility because it helps put me in a better perspective to know what to be accountable for.
Yes. And that is, I'm glad you said that. Sorry about that. I have to stand up every few minutes. The light in this conference room goes out. For me as well, I think responsibility first and then accountability. I think you have to learn to be responsible so that you can become accountable. And if you're very responsible, then people will start to hold you accountable. And if you're not responsible, then they just let you fall by the wayside. Really, you don't grow and develop because you're never responsible for you. Like you can't control your emotions, so to speak. And you always bust out and you always act out and show out. And nobody ever really takes you serious. So nobody ever puts you in a position to where you'll ever be accountable for anything because you can't even control yourself, let alone control other folks or other things. And as a father, and I know most of us are, with our children, so to speak, or our jobs, and everybody's spoken on the household, like again, that responsibility part is just lumped all in there. We have to be responsible for that. And then we're accountable for the success of it. Because if dad ain't working, ain't nobody eating, or if mom still falls back on dad, that's your fault. You the man of the house, that's your fault if you're not keeping your own house in order. And us as guys have got to start, again, putting that to the forefront of our actions and understanding that I am responsible for my house. And if my house is failing, I have to be taken into account with myself. I got to stand before and be judged on my performance as a man. And this is what we're trying to define right now. If we can get through these definitions and understand that we've learned to be responsible. We can provide, we can protect, we can problem solve, we can do these things. But now, can we be held accountable if things go wrong? Because we can all take the pat on the back when things go right, but can we stand to be accounted for if things ain't going so well?
Mm.
So I'm glad everybody got answers on that. That's really good. That's really good, because now we're getting to the understanding. And so I'm gonna pass it around again. Another question, and take your time with this one because this is a good one. Can a non-accountable person be accountable? Yes or no? And can a non-responsible person be responsible? Anybody? I'm gonna give everybody a shot at that one.
Okay, a non-responsible person, if they, it's a kind of a catch-22 to this.
Mhm.
You can be responsible and not even know you're being responsible.
Right.
Because if it's in your nature to take care of and be a nurturing type of person, you're responsible. You're taking the responsibility, even though you may not realize it. So it's possible that a non-responsible person can be, but at the same time, how can you say you're non-responsible and being responsible? Now, you may not realize it. And so to me, that's a kind of a catch-22, and the same thing on an accountability standpoint. You can be the kind of person that's doing things in the home or within your community or around others, taking the accountability. No, I got it. No problem. No big deal. I got this. I can handle it. And being accountable for things, not realizing or maybe not being looked at from your own perspective as being an accountable person. Man, it's just something I love to do. Ain't no big deal. I got this. I can handle it. So yes, and again, I just see it as being one of those kind of a catch-22s. You can, and sometimes you don't even realize you are what people look at you and see you being. I mean, how many times have we heard, man, I saw that in you all the time. And whether that's being responsible or being accountable, you may not even realize it.
Okay, but and just another follow up with that, since you answered the way you did, if you're unknowingly being responsible and unknowingly being accountable, how did you come by that? Is that part of, you say, it's part of your nature, or were you trained to be that way or shown to be that way? What do you think? How do you came about that information or situation?
Now, from my standpoint, for me, I grew up having to be responsible. Okay. I was the oldest, and mom was going to work at a very early time of the day. She had to be to work at 5 a.m. So getting myself prepared for school and making sure I had breakfast. So I had to learn at an early age how to eat what was prepared, or I had to learn how to prepare it myself. So responsibility became a part of me early in life. Then becoming accountable, I learned that from seeing others doing. So, we grew up. So your part, you got to go out there and sweep the yard. You got to go out there and swing this blade to cut the grass. So being accountable for your part of what you had to do. But responsibility came to me at a very early age.
Okay. James or Marcus's? Can a non-accountable person be accountable? And can a non-responsible person be responsible?
Yeah,
I've been sitting here thinking. I really don't know.
Okay, Marcus don't know. Marcus Massey?
Yeah, I'd have to go with the first gentleman there, that people can do things unknowingly in both of those genres. I think taking it from a perspective of, if you know somebody's not accountable, do you hold them accountable or put them in situations to be accountable? And those are the things I think you find day to day. in everyday life, in your family life, that there's things that we hope that people become accountable that we know are not accountable or responsible.
Okay.
But then when they fail to do that, are we shocked?
Mm. Mm.
And
So,
what are we doing to change it if it's important enough to care about it in that sense, right?
okay. And a follow-up question for you then is that part of your environment that causes you to either shy away or accept, as my dad said, he had learned responsibility at an early age. Do you think your environment has a lot to do with that, or do you think it's more of your DNA? It's just who you are.
I think that's a little bit of both. I think we all can remember growing up when your grandma or your mom or dad, somebody told you don't play with that kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know what their DNA is about in their family, right? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, right?
Okay.
Now, when you understand what part of that is part of your family, and you really look at it for what it's worth and truthful about what are your family good and bad at, right? That's either going to make you shy more towards doing it or be very against it, right? Something simple as if you got a family that smokes, right? You're either going to really hate smoking or you become part of that smoking environment, right?
Right. Because I'm going somewhere with that, but I'm gonna get James give him a shot at this, and then Marcus.
Okay.
Okay, go with us, Mr. James, if you can. I know you said you're getting your son and stuff.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Um, I feel strongly that you can subconsciously be operating in both of those genres and not know it. You might be calling it something else, but it can be in a position where somebody see things in you that you don't see in yourself, whether it's responsible as well as accountable, and you're not own up to it. And you might
Yeah.
call it something else, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
Okay. So, it seems like everybody's pointing to you can knowingly and unknowingly be both. But let me see what Marcus Bradley has to say.
I would say so I'm not responsible from the jump, but the more influence I have in on something, I'm starting to bear more responsibility. So yeah, I wasn't accountable at first, but if I'm part of something bigger and I put myself in that position to be responsible, then whatever collateral damage, I have to share that burden.
So let me ask you a follow-up with that. Is that self-inflicted? Like you make yourself be responsible, or you make yourself be accountable, or do you wait for someone else to give you a task to be responsible for, or do you just do it and then be like, I will accept the what happens with that? Like, let's say for instance, you join a football team and your
Can I
job
get
is
happy hour white wine?
Oh yeah, sure. Chardonnay.
Yes.
Okay.
Why is it?
well, somebody getting lit here in a second. Let me hold on a second. If you're on a football team and you're the defensive coordinator, and your defense gets thumped one game, and they come to you and ask you what happened, and do you say something like, okay, what is your response to that? If somebody asks you what happened to the defense, and how do you respond to that? Mark.
Like I said, it's based on position. I would respond, well, we're gonna have to adapt to the certain given situation. And I don't know. Can you explain it a different way? Like, I don't know.
Well, it's fine if you're done. I'm throwing these questions out there so we can try to.
Yeah, these some real brain tweezers.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get us to understand the difference. Like I'll use my example for that. If I'm a defensive coordinator, my defense gets his butt whooped. I can't say, well, I prepared them. we got practice. We had a good game plan.
Okay, so no, I get what you're saying. No, you have to. Yeah, he's not accountable because he's not on the field, but that's your team. You take
Right.
all the losses that come with that, regardless of any given situation.
Right. And then it's important to use like we terms. We got our butts whooped. We got to do better. We got to, practice and prepare better for the next game and get better. So that's the difference for me is can a man, and because I'm going with this as an adult trying to make adult decisions. Do you allow your environment accountable, or do you then take the reins, grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and say, I'm going to make this happen, win, lose, or draw. And if you win, good job. If you don't, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. Or do you point the finger? And as men, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Dad, go ahead. You gonna say something?
No, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And do we take the bull by the horns, or do we point the finger and say, oh, it's your fault, or it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault? Coming up in my mom's house, you were given a task, and she didn't remind you. She wasn't on you, but you had your task done, or she had that behind, whichever one, and that was your choice. You could either do the stuff or get done up. That's how it was. And leaving that environment, going straight to the military, where you were given tasks, be here, this proper place, this proper uniform, at this appointed time. Either you were there or you were in trouble. And then I became a leader myself, and then I was passing out. But having come from a whole line, my whole life of being responsible for myself, I then had to turn that outwardly onto others and then train them up. So I believe that a non-responsible person, because mostly every soldier that comes in the Army is an idiot, almost all of them, that they can be trained to be responsible, even if they're just doing it autonomously. They're just working like a drone. Now, can they be accountable when it's time? I don't know. That's a test for them. But Mr. Love joined us. I think he was out wine shopping, finna get nice when he get home, I think. But we were asking the question, Mr. Love, can a non-accountable person be accountable? And can a non-responsible person be responsible? Can you speak on that if you can? I don't think he's still muted. Oh, there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can now.
Over time, I mean, they can learn to be from non-responsible and non-accountable to become one each of those. I mean, you just don't all of a sudden become responsible overnight. You got to be taught that. You got to have the desire to want to be accountable. And depending on who's holding them accountable and who's holding them responsible.
So with you as well, because Dad and James responded similarly to that. Is your environment playing a part in that, or is that self-induced? Do you take that on yourself, or do you wait for others to bestow it on you?
It's self-induced. I mean, you can't just be around somebody and fall in with the rest of the crowd. You got to be responsible enough to say, you know what? I shouldn't go with them and rob that bank. Because the police gonna hold you accountable. That judge is.
Okay.
But that's it.
And that's a perfect example. Because if you one of the ones that fall in line, you giving your task no matter what it is, you're gonna be the getaway driver today. Now I don't even want to do it. Do it. Now you're responsible for getting away, and then if you don't, you're held accountable.
Yeah.
And this is the point that I want us all to be able to teach when we leave here today, is that you can need something and you can want something, and you can be responsible for something and you can be accountable for something, and all of those are different. And what we learn here today and teach each other may be the crux upon somebody else's life, where they make a life or a death choice, or a right or wrong choice that may change the outcome of their whole life. And I want us to be able to explain it to them in a way that can save their life. And one of the points is, are needs and wants the same thing? And how do they differ? And I need everybody on that one. I want everybody to give me their real honest opinion on that. Are needs and wants the same thing? And how do they differ?
Hey, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
They are different.
Yes, sir. How so?
Okay, you need air
Okay.
to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want money.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You can survive without money because you can do other things to take care of that aspect.
Okay.
But they're totally different.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask a follow-up question as soon as I get everybody's answer, because I gotta get everybody's response first, and then I'm gonna throw the rebuttal at you, because I got one. I got a good one. All right, Mr. Massey, since nobody wants to go, or Dad, whichever one of y'all click in first.
Yeah, I think they're both different as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just like he said, there's a difference between me wanting to go get a brand new car versus me just needing wheels to get back and forth, which could be a bike, right? It meets the need of getting back and forth to A to B, right?
Right.
And so I think in that genre, they're totally different needs and wants.
Okay. Dad?
They are totally different. Needs will outweigh wants. There is probably not a one of us that hadn't wanted something, never achieved it, never received it, never had it, thought about it, and we still maintained and did what we had to do. Things that are needed, the basic necessities in life, that's a need. Mm-hmm. Whether it be food, clothing, shelter, companionship, those things, there's a need for those.
Okay.
They make or break you. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter the environment you come from. There are things that you just need to have to be able to do and to survive.
All right.
Once again, there's probably a complete bucket list of things that we have wanted to do and still want to do, want to go, want to be able to be a part of. May or may not happen. So okay. To me, they're totally different.
Okay. Marcus, if you can. Okay. He's waiting on that. And I agree with all of you thus far that needs and wants are very different. But as I stated at the beginning, even though responsibility and accountability are different, the line can be blurred in certain situations.
Okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So you said the question was, are needs and wants different? Well, that's a no-brainer for me. I feel like the needs is like really the bare minimum of what you actually need in your day-to-day life. You need to go to work. That's so you can pay your bills for everything that you're responsible for. That's one of your needs. Wants add on to your needs, but not necessarily are going to make your needs come any faster. They can weigh you down in different ways, but it can feel good when you get what you want, but it's not necessarily what you need all the time.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. And what I wanted to throw, the caveat, the question I wanted to ask everybody is that when we're as men, now I'm putting this in the context as men and with or without family, or you may have a significant other or not. I think it all means the same, even with companionship and not. Does being accountable blur the line between needs and wants? When you have a family or a house that you're responsible for, or you have situations that you're responsible for, being ultimately accountable for the success or failure of that, does being accountable blur the lines between needs and wants for a man?
Okay. Now, that word blur the line, yes, it can. But I can tell you this, you need those blurs to help you learn to be able to bring your family along in the way that, as the man of the household, you're leading in that capacity. There are going to be some times when there's a want that's going to be said no, or not right now.
Right.
Maybe later. So those, what we call tough love decisions, comes to help prepare you to know how to bring forth the type of family that you, as the man of the household, that's what you stand for, and that's what you put in place with empathy and sympathy, knowing that there's certain children that you have to tell certain things a certain way because you know your child. You can't do the same for one as you do for the other. That doesn't mean any less love, less responsibility or accountability, but you learn this and you use that tact, as I call it, to help you to be able to situate your family, knowing that needs and wants have to be taken care of.
Okay. Great response. Great response. James Gibbs, I know you're ready for it.
Oh, bro, you can't get confused. That blurred line we was talking about, you can't get confused because, like I say, need is a life or death thing. Want is the please and, I guess, make them happy or whatever the case may be. But you can't let it blur you because it'll confuse you between the needs and the want. Because, like I say, we can survive without a lot of things that we want, but we can't survive for what we need for the wants. I hope I ain't confused you with that blurred.
No, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm just.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You need to breathe. You need oxygen. You need air.
Okay.
You can't go without it. You are paid for it. But that car, that house, that those other wants that you put up there with that need, if you do without it, you'll still survive.
Okay. But and in saying that, like when you bring in that happiness piece, as a man that is juggling and balancing all of that, again, blurring the lines between needs and wants to keep everyone happy in the house. You know, what
Can you repeat the question?
Does being accountable blur the lines between needs and wants in regards to like relationships and family? Does needs and wants become one and the same if you're being accountable for a family or a situationship or a relationship?
Okay, so you said there's the needs and wants blur the lines. So as a man, when you're like taking the leadership role, right? I feel like you can get what you want, but you have a whole team behind you. And as a leader of the team, you have to know that maybe what you want has to be put on hold unless you have that extra wiggle room to make it work without suffering the losses and taking accountability where you didn't need to, because you should always be focused on what's the goal first and do what you need to do to make sure that you and your team, since you're the man of the household, are squared away. So if you can get what you want in between, then you're doing what you need to do as a man.
Okay. Let me get Marcus Massey real quick, and then I'm gonna try to put a bow on it and see where we go from there.
Can you blur that? Yeah, most definitely you can blur it. But I think depending on what situation you're in, like I said, if you need air, like the gentleman said earlier, then it's quite understood what you're going to go with between the needs and wants. But if you brought up something that's very important about as the man of the house, which that definition has changed dramatically over the years. Well, what is the man in the house? Because the atypical type You know, that's called toxic nowadays, right?
Mm.
So, but what you see today is the men, as you say, men of the house, trying to keep everybody happy. We'll blur that line to make everybody happy more so than go pay that bill that's going to keep the lights on because we're trying to keep everybody happy. And then there's disruption in the relationship. Well, why did you pay the light bill, right? And we can about imagine how that goes downhill. I think more so or than ever before today, that line is blurred as men of the house because of the different teachings of what is men of the house.
Okay. Okay. And what I want us to, and I think we all got it. What I want us to see from this is happiness is part of our accountability in a relationship or a family. And because happiness is a want. If everybody agree with that, happiness is a want. We all want to be happy. And if we're accountable for the success or failure of a family or a marriage or a relationship as a man, we have to splurge a little bit when we can to provide those wants to keep everybody happy, to keep the relationship going. The important part, and what everybody seems to understand now, is that there's a time and place for it. There's a priority situation going with it. Like there's a bucket list, so to speak. You know, you have to pay your bills first. Everybody got to eat. You know, we need rent, hot water, lights, mortgage, car, insurance, all those things. But then, like, if you're married, there still needs to be a date night every now and then, or time away with the kids, or time with the kids, or whatever. The juggling act of being responsible, how well you do that, then makes you being accountable either easier or harder. That's going to gauge your success in being accountable. And what we're learning now is that we can teach others that you get on your square first. And I know us older guys tell the young cats, get on your square first, get your fundamentals together, get your house in your name, get your car in your name, get your bank account, job, drive, like all those things, get your fundamentals together, get your work done and some investing in yourself, and then turn, be responsible, and then turn to a family to be accountable for. And I think we've all come to that conclusion. And I think we've done a really good job thus far in defining what it is in the situations I've tried to throw out. But I want to take it back one more time to your relationships with, sorry, the relationships you have with your family. And when I say family, I mean your mother and father that provided you an environment. Does that also play a part in how well, and I think we've answered it, but I want to just go back because Leonard joined us in. I wanted to go back and just get everybody a quick up or down, yes or no, or a quick response. Does your environment help or hinder, and by environment, I say the relationship with your mother and father, does it help or hinder you becoming responsible and being accountable or not?
The environment is huge. Because again, it's going to help shape you from what you see, hear, and are around or part of in your daily life.
Okay.
Even when you're in school around your peers, these things help make you who you are. If you're going to be more responsible, then obviously there are going to be some responsible people typically around you to learn that from. If you're not the responsible type person, you're around what we call knuckleheads, then you tend to fall into that same type category unless something saves you or brings you, shocks you into seeing that that's not the way I should be or I should do things. Man, I've been doing this all my life for so long now, I got to try to learn all over again.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that I want to just interject personality also plays a tremendous part in being responsible and accountable. Your personality as to who you are, you may not want to be responsible. You just may want to be happy-go-lucky. And if that's the type of household, other people may want responsibility and can't get it from you. So what part does that do to help destroy, for lack of a better word, the environment? Because now the environment has changed because I may be looking for responsibility from that head of the household, so to speak, and I'm not getting it. I see it in the others. I see it in other kids and in other families. Why don't I have it in mine? So personality plays a part in this as well too. That's a totally different subject, but we must keep that in mind as well too, knowing that who you are helps determine who others are going to be if you are in that leadership position.
Okay. Leonard Love, thanks for joining us back. I was asking, does environment grow?
Okay. Yes, yeah. In my situation, yes. Growing up in the environment with your mother and your father, that's the first basic training you have in life. We grew up poor and I didn't even know it. But it's not about the money, it's about what they teaching you. My mother could have whooped me for every little thing, but sometimes she would pull me to the side and talk to me and say, look, this is why you shouldn't do that, young man. You know, communication goes in line with that environment. You got to explain to them what they're doing wrong. And then you know going forward how to communicate those same faults. And you know what? You got a reward as well. Hey, good job, young man. Good job. You know, because that builds character.
Okay. Turrentine, I know you joined us a little bit later. We're going over accountability and responsibility. I'm gonna let Mr. Massey answer, then I'm gonna ask you a question after that, if that's okay with you. Mr. Massey, go ahead. Environment.
Oh yeah, I think environment is a huge part of that foundation. And it definitely helps you to be prepared for things that you know that you may not be ready for down the road. But if you got a good foundation, you kind of get to figure out right or wrong or what best suits you going forward. But what I'm learning nowadays is what we consider to be right or wrong, whether you come from a two-parent home, one-parent home, or none. That's changed very much a lot on what that looks like. Even the very definition of what you consider responsibility and what somebody else considers responsibility. So a lot of times it really is are we putting into our youth, or was it ever put into you to be yourself and figure out what best suits you off of the things that you learn from your basic foundation of what you see. And so going forward, you see it all the time. If you've ever talked to a millennial and asked them certain things, stuff that, you know, that would seem like, oh, this is a common thing that everybody's going to get this answer to, but it's not, because as they used to call it back in the day, common sense, right? Well, it's not so common as we call it today, right? And so you really today have to stop and really get to know your youth. You know, I'm in a situation now, I'm able to teach my kid from home, and doing it, so I'm able to see really a lot of things that I would have never got to see about him with him going off to school and being programmed through school to do certain things and know certain things that's not of the nature of what's going on in the home, right? And so versus having to reverse that training of thought, you get to address it up front. What is his thought process on certain things, right? How does he feel about himself? And you get to keep that tab on what is their confidence level? What are they taking in? How they're processing and comprehending? Because people can read things, but do they comprehend what they read?
Okay.
So it is a big I think plus on you. And no matter what your environment is, good, bad, and different, your environment is going to play a part on how you come out on the other side of that. And if you know right from wrong, you know not to take the wrong from your foundation, as well as you know to take the good and build upon the good, right?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
right, Marcus, being my son, and I know your story, but everybody else may not, the environment you had to come up in outside of being with me, how did that play a role in your being who you are today and the decisions you make as far as being responsible? accountable?
Well, definitely it plays a part in it, but with your environment, you got when you growing up, that's really how you don't really know right from wrong. If what you looking at everything, it seem like it's going right at a young age. So like, I don't know, I made a lot of bad decisions because everything that I was around. So I would say my environment take a big part in it. I would generally, like what's against the law and stuff like that, what's right and what's wrong. But if it's working out in the back of your head, if everything else is working around for it in that way, in that environment, it's probably a right thing in your head, not necessarily the good thing morally, but you don't know necessarily right from wrong. But you switch up that environment, everybody else is on a different flow, everybody else on a different vibe. If room full of millionaires, you're going to be bound to be the next one. So it makes you think differently, like, dang, I was doing all this stuff, my life wasn't as productive as it needed to be. You switch up your environment, you change up your lifestyle.
I like that. So Tarantine, the question is to you, and it's two parts. If you're first, if how what did I ask? Oh, I see it right here. Are needs and wants the same thing? And does being accountable in a marriage or relationship blur the lines between the two? I need to get your input on that. I know everybody else answered this already, but since you joined us late, I want to hear your response on that. Are needs and wants the same thing? And does being accountable in a marriage or relationship blur the line in between the two?
Okay. I thought I was just being a spectator. Got pulled in to answer questions, but nonetheless, needs and wants are two different things. They are not the same. There are a lot of things that we desire or want that are not necessarily a need. This may be a little controversial, but some people may look at a car as a need when it's not necessarily a need, it's more so a desire or want. We want and desire it, but it's something that we can live without. So when I look at a need, I look at it as being as something you cannot live without.
Okay.
I guess to answer your second question, and help me understand this, you said being in a marriage.
Being accountable, like for the success or failure of the marriage. Mm-hmm. Does being accountable blur the lines in between deciding what's a need and what's a want?
I would say yes and no. I'm going to go with yes because being with an individual that you're in love with when you're in a marriage, when something is a desire for them, sometimes as men, we may equivalent that as being a need. And therefore, we would do everything within our power to provide that because by nature, we are providers for our family and we are protectors. So I guess to answer the question, I would say yes to a certain extent. It does blur the line.
Okay. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I did want to get your input. Yeah, that's for showing up late. Yeah.
Right.
James Gibbs. The environment piece. How did that play a role in your decision making as an adult coming up? Being accountable enough. He's still there, I think. But I don't know if can y'all still hear me?
Hey, Bradley. Hey, can I say one more thing about that?
Yes, sir.
So it's all about the individual because you can come up in a good environment, still not turn out well. You can come up in a bad environment and turn out good. So it's all about what the individual wants to do, what their decision-making process is, what their goals is,
Mm-hmm. And in all of that, the one thing that we kind of mentioned, we touched on it with personality when Dad said it, is DNA. It's going to be in you or not. I think the saying is a leader is born, not made. And it's in your DNA whether you're going to be a responsible individual or an accountable individual, irregardless of the environment, the nature, or the nurturing that you do or don't receive, the influence from dad or not, or mentors or not, or teachers or not. It is, if it's in you, it's in you. And somehow you'll always make your way to the center of the room, or you'll always make your way to the front of the crowd, or you'll always be that guy that gets picked to lead the way, so to speak, without even trying, because it's just you. And we can train others to be responsible, but I don't think you can train someone to be accountable, especially if it's not in them. And because they will continue to let you down and they will continue to fail because they'll shy away from the responsibility of being accountable. They can knock out tasks all day and just get the work done. But ultimately making a decision or being the final say in an event or a task and being accountable for that, they'll shy away from it. And as men, especially ones with family, we cannot shy away from that. And that part takes place in the DNA. It's like me and my dad, so to speak. We didn't grow up with each other or around each other a lot, but our similarities, you can hardly tell us apart. We talk the same, we walk the same, we do everything, like we even think the same. We finish each other's sentences when we talk, and we didn't come up around each other. So I just think it's in your DNA of what you're going to be. And if you're an accountable man, you're just accountable, and you're always going to be that. If you're a responsible man, either you got trained to be responsible or you were going to be that, regardless. But your environment does impact your responsibility, but your environment does not affect whether you're going to be accountable or not, because it's too different. I mean, it's too different for me. I think it's too different. I can do a task and not be accountable, or I can be that leader I was born to be, and I just can't help myself. Does anyone agree or disagree with that statement from me? Anyone?
I agree, but there are some things that I have personally witnessed, and again, my profession in law enforcement, especially being on the streets, have shown me if you want to take responsibility, it just depends on what type of family we're talking about. Now, a structured environment, okay. Those on the streets, it casts a different perspective on you, because again, there are some people who, because they want to be the leader, won't let you be a leader. Then here comes the power struggle that's going to change your environment, your outlook. Even when you come back home, there may be something within you that's not going to allow you to carry yourself in a professional manner, because out on the street, you're being treated harshly, talked to, talked down. Now, are you going to be able to have someone from a leadership position within your home help you along the way? You may rebel and rebuke against that because of that environment that you're with your peers, so to speak, is having an effect on how you perceive and go forward.
Okay. I like that response. I like that reply. Anybody else agree or disagree? Nobody? Nobody? No brave souls. Okay. One more time. Anybody agree or disagree? Now, when you hear this statement, and I want everybody to tell me what they mean when they hear, what they think of when they hear this statement. Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done. Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done. Anybody?
What are we answering?
What do you think of? What does that statement make you think of?
If you're doing a lot, doesn't mean you're getting a lot done. I guess that places itself in like a priority category. If you're doing a lot to progressively, progress in your day or your future, or maybe just work on a different strategy to make something else work a little bit better, that's something you're doing a lot of progressive things. But if you're doing a lot like of distractions, but you're doing a lot of different things that are distractions, then no, you're not really doing anything.
Okay. Massey.
Yeah, very much some truth in that. I think we all have probably been victim to that, whether that's the job or certain goals that we had that we ended up, hey, we're doing everything under the sun, but the stuff we need to be doing to get, to the goal, the quickest to the fastest route. And so when you think about that, for me at least, definitely I do things to help people with their claims, all that good stuff. And I was doing a bunch of things, getting information, doing videos and everything else, but I wasn't doing the most that I could be doing as far as really helping them, as far as why am I not educating them about what I'm doing, Right. So that way it's kind of like the thing of you teach a man to fish, right? He won't go hungry for days. So with that progression, I've gotten way better at just meeting different people and different mindsets on how different people, perceive information, what their backgrounds are, what they're dealing with, right? What state of mind are they in when they're receiving? I mean, things that I never thought about before that now I get to be encompassed with to make sure it's good for everybody who I come in contact with to go along the steps to get to the goal that they need to, as well as me get to the goal simultaneously. So yeah, it's definitely doable to definitely do a lot of nothing.
All right, James Gibbs.
You can be doing a whole lot of nothing if it's not something that's profound, say that's progressive, because you'll find yourself spinning your wheel at just filibuster, like pissing in the wind. You have to be intentional with what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I have lived both sides of that.
Okay.
You can do a lot of things towards something and it just doesn't pan out. So you did a lot of something and it just didn't mean anything. On the other hand, you can be doing something that you have a desire or passion for, and it may not be your season yet for that to mature and to come to pass. But when God opens that door for it to happen, you look back over all those things you thought about, did, read upon, and now it's time for it to mature and you reap the benefits of it. And people have said, man, you've been working on that thing for I don't know how long, but you didn't give up. And to me, that's a key factor. God places something within you, see it through and stick with it, because it was probably meant to be for you. And so many people I have known have gotten deterred because, again, they listened to others and didn't get a chance to continue to do what was in them to do, because God gave it to you for that to happen through you. And that's why I can honestly say, thank God for Novatech, because again, that has been something that's been a passion of mine for God knows how long. And that season has come. That's why I bought that for him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what I'm getting at with this, and Turntime, I'm gonna come to you in a second. I ain't forgot about you down there. Is action versus motion, and as men, we get caught up a lot in the responsibility part and doing a lot. Our schedule is full. We always busy. We always got something to do. We never got time to rest. There's always something to do. There's always some place to go. It's a lot of action. It's a lot of motion, but they're different. And the motion that we're talking about is doing a lot. And the action that we're speaking on is getting a lot done. And we've all touched on it so far and saying, you know, you could be doing a whole lot of nothing. I fashion it to a treadmill. You be running like a mug. You ain't went nowhere. You in the same spot. You tired, you sweating, you even losing weight. It's just helping, I guess. But you ain't went nowhere. And if we take on too much in a relationship, especially if it's a seasonal relationship that we're trying to make permanent. I know we've all done that before and we've made mistakes. You know, carrying a girl along that we ain't supposed to. You know, she need our help. We help them out. And we carry this situation from season to season. And it's like an anchor and you dragging it along the ground, you know, and it's just slowing you down. But you don't realize it's slowing you down because you got a lot going on. Man, I got a lot going on. I'm doing a lot. But you ain't getting nothing done. Your life ain't progressing. I found myself in my second marriage in that situation, working my butt off, working, life going nowhere. And it took for that to fall apart because I could not carry it any longer. I had to let that weight go. And once I did that, once I left that marriage, that unproductive marriage, my life took off like a rocket ship. I mean, credit score to money to, lifestyle, everything went straight through the roof. I mean, it went up because I then could put all that energy into myself. And a lot of times as men, we just get so mundane in the routine. I got a lot to do. I got to go to work. And we forget about ourselves. And what we have to teach others is that just because you're doing a lot and it ain't focused energy, it's not focused movement, it's not small steps forward, you're not going anywhere in your life. And I don't care who you are. If you're carrying around so much weight, maybe you're carrying around anger from your childhood, maybe you're carrying around just, I don't know, just whatever you are carrying, you got to learn to let that go and leave that stuff behind so you can move forward and accomplish the goals that you set for yourself. And if you haven't set any goals for yourself, then that's a whole nother issue. And because that's going to lead into how you prioritize your decision making. What goals do you have? What goals have you set? What plans do you have for yourself? And Mr. Love, I saw you just join us back. And the question I had just asked everyone was, when you hear the statement, just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done. What does that bring to your mind? What do you think about when you hear that statement? Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done.
Give me a second. I'm IT and I still can't figure it out. But just being a busybody, like you said, align yourself and make agendas, to make progress. You just don't be a busybody. Mm-hmm. Have a goal. I can't accomplish tasks or hold somebody else accountable for doing tasks if I don't have any goals or agendas to meet those, goals. That's what I think about that. It all comes together. If you're gonna be a leader, lead by example or follow. Pick one to do.
All right. And you can't now. Can you do one or the other, or can you do both? Can you lead and follow?
Yes, you can. You can lead and follow. Because there's echelons of leadership. Everybody has a boss. Everybody does. So you ain't necessarily gonna be leading your boss. You gotta follow that boss.
Right.
That boss got a boss.
Right.
So at some point you will be leading and following at the same time.
Okay. Now does that affect your ability to be accountable?
No. You still got responsibility. Even though I'm a father, I got a grandfather. I gotta respect him and do what he tells me to do.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like I was saying, it's in your DNA. I think, and I made the statement earlier, I think you're going to be accountable because it's in your DNA, and you'll find yourself being accountable without trying. And I think if you're going to be accountable, you can be accountable. And I don't think you can train someone to be accountable. They have to have that in them. And let me see. I want to get everybody's takeaway from what we've talked about tonight. So I want to go around, just everybody on here, take a minute or so, or 2 minutes if you want to, however long you need to, and just give the group one takeaway from what we've talked about tonight. If it's like a bullet point or something like that, we can put together for a slideshow, like an AAR, like a, what's one thing that you've heard tonight that you can take away from this meeting? Anyone?
Hey, Mark,
Yes, sir.
I like the fact that you touched on the environment.
Okay.
It plays a major role, man. That's like planting a seed in an unfertile ground. It's not going to bear and produce like it would if it was in a fertile ground, fertile soil. So, with that being said, that's when the responsibility, the accountability, that's when you're going to determine what's a need and a want. I mean, everything is going to piggyback off one another. Not saying that you're not going to blur the lines like you were saying, and what you brought that example about blurring the lines, but it's going to clarify it because you saw it by example, maybe like a leader in the family, or, like you said, your mother told you about, she gave you the task, and if you didn't do it, the consequences behind it. All that stuff shaped mold like Play-Doh. And man, later on in life, sometimes sooner or later, depending on what predicament you will put in or we put ourselves in, that stuff's gonna come to surface. And that's the bullet point that I take away from tonight with the question that you asked about different topics.
Okay. All right. And I like it. I wrote that down. Marcus, one takeaway from, oh, okay, we'll come back to him. Marcus Massey, the third Marcus.
Hey, the thing that I took away from it is just know thyself. And again, like the gentleman said before, we don't really take a look at why we do certain things and how did we get to where we are, good, bad, and different. And we never peel the onion back to really address some of those things. And then once you find out why you do certain things and why you are where you are, well, obviously you can change those or seek help to change those things to figure out what's the new agenda, what's the new turn. So definitely took that away. And also when you were talking about anchoring and relationships and dragging, I was wondering, were you addressing Cowboy fans? Were you addressing them with that?
Say that one more time.
When you were talking about the anchor and relationships and dragging things, were you talking about Cowboy fans?
They can be a drag on you. Yes, they can. I was more so speaking of when we hold a relation or that companion, when we hold on to things that like keep us down, an unhealthy, I won't say toxic, an unhealthy relationship or companion that's causing you to constantly reprioritize what needs and wants are, and you can never be successful. Can't win for losing, that type of thing, and you just find yourself always losing. So that's what I meant by that.
Yeah, definitely. So we need to talk to the Cowboy fans.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to go. Thanks.
Turn time. I know you showed up late and you didn't catch a lot, but give me a takeaway from what you heard, just a bullet point if you can.
I like what Leonard said, that with being a leader, you also have to be a follower.
Okay.
He said at every level, you're going to have somebody that you're going to be reporting to.
Okay.
So that's my takeaway.
you always have somebody that you will be responsible to report to, or somebody will be responsible for you. I mean, it's the same even with a pastor. You may be a senior pastor of a church, but you still got God is still responsible for you, and you still got to report to Him.
Yes.
So that was one takeaway that I have for tonight.
Okay. Marcus,
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Marcus, you ready yet? Okay, one more. Leonard, we'll go with you. Give me a bullet point for tonight.
Mine could just be a bullet. I mean, it's in the needs and wants area. I think it's like one of your uncles said, you need air, but you want a nice car.
Right. And if I may, I just want to ask you this: if your family is a dual income family, and you got husband and wife working, and both of y'all, and the income is needed, right, to make the family go. Like, you're not just a sole breadwinner. Your car breaks down, right? Having two cars for you guys to still be able to get back and forth to work, does that change the priority of the car and then make it a need? Like, I know we keep saying we want a car, we want a car, we want a car, but certain situations that car may be a need. And
well, if you get one car, y'all just gotta figure out a plan to get both of y'all to work.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to have two cars. That's a nice luxury to have.
Okay.
I mean, there's a bus, there's an Uber, there's a whole lot of other means of transportation. I mean, you could bum a ride sometime. I mean, if you're, I don't hate to use this word, if you're a hustler, you're gonna figure out how to get to work.
Right. And that's what I was trying to get at when I was saying, does it blur the lines? Because like you said, two cars is a luxury. But in certain situations, and I don't know if anybody, in certain situations, there, like, let's say you both work day shift. Y'all both got to be to work at 8 o'clock, and the kids got to be to school at 7:45. Somebody hit, you know, somebody show. Now, does that make the situation any different when you say it's a need, but now,
hey, how you doing?
It's a want, and now my priority with that has changed. We need that second car in order for this to keep going the way it's going. I mean, to go the way it's supposed to go. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all about communication. Either me or the woman got to go to their boss and say, check this out. Here's my situation. Okay. Can we change my hours? I mean, there's a workaround for everything. If your boss want to work with you, they'll work with you. If they don't, then you know I got to take that half-hour doc pay because I'm gonna be late.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to put your mind to it and not think that I can't operate without the same car.
Okay. So the situation could change the priority, but you as the man should be able to find another workaround to make that not become a priority where you change a want into a need.
Hey, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
I want to elaborate on it.
Yes, sir.
You got to sacrifice, man. And like that blurred line, you can't confuse that need with that second car, because as a man, I make a way.
Okay.
Because that burning desire in me, it ain't gonna let me sit down on it. So that if it's cold or raining, she would take me and drop me off maybe an hour or two early. You know, I can find something to do at work till my shift start. I'd rather be early than late. So you know, you're gonna have to prioritize or have a plan. I'm sorry, you're gonna have a plan to take advantage of that one car. Because you could, matters could be worse. You could not have a car. Whew. So you're gonna still make it a priority saying I need a car? Because I'm telling you, you can survive without a car.
Yeah.
But your breath and that food and the other things that are needs, you can't survive without them.
Got it. Okay. I like that. Marcus Bradley, the second.
All right, hey, we had a little rush.
Huh?
We had a little rush. A bunch of old people wanting the lottery.
Oh, what do you
All
mean
right,
by
so
old? What do you mean
you
by
know,
old?
but what was the question? You said what I take away from everything?
Yeah, one takeaway from tonight.
A bunch. So really, the main thing I can take away is what we started with. We're taking accountability and responsibility and knowing the difference between the two. You know, and with that, I'm taking away that yes, you can take responsibility and accountability, but you have to know when to choose right or wrong, and you can't blur the lines like you were saying, because if you're going to take responsibility, accountability comes along with that. You know, if you're going to distract yourself, you're hindering yourself from doing what you need to do so that you're able to stay on top of being responsible. So I learned that distractions can weigh you down in certain type of ways. Different distractions come in different many ways, shapes, and forms. And knowing when to sacrifice that want so you can gain that need if it's your time now is very important. And you can't make that mistake, because you'll end up with more losses than you would have thought at first.
That's good. That is good. That is good. I'm proud to hear you say that. Yeah, I am proud of that. I'm really proud to hear you say that. Dad, bring us around.
Responsibility, taking responsibility, being responsible gives you the opportunity to bring forth the type of accountability that's needed. Wants and needs that we have mentioned, there are certain things, and you brought up that a two-car situation, you lose one of them. That accountability now is rephrased. I need to fix this. That's taking accountability because you are a responsible individual. I need to fix this. That's an accountability issue. Right. Got to make some changes. You said it. The priorities now have been adjusted, but I need to fix this because it's my responsibility to ensure that what needs to be done gets done. So for me, these takeaways is broad, but it sharpens you as a person, because these are the learning skills that's needed to help someone else. It's not just for you. It starts with you, but it's something that you must go through, deal with, make adjustments on. This help sharpens you as an individual to be able to help your next generation or those that are with you or are part of you. It's these are the things that we call life experiences.
Yes, sir.
And they help with you being able to know the difference between a want and a need. They sometimes can be interchangeable, but that's a part of life. You learn these things. And my biggest takeaway from this is hearing my grandson talk with a level head, because I know where he gets it from. And it makes me proud to know that 2 generations are being able to see and hear and be able to connect. We don't always have to agree on everything 100%. That's not life. But these takeaways, our learning and our responsibility and accountability and hearing about needs and wants, these are things that a lot of people right now wish they had someone sitting beside them or in a part of their life to help them to hear these same things and say, you know what, it's going to be all right. You just need to make sure that you see and listen and learn, because life is trying to tell you something. Let me help you as much as I possibly can, because I've been there or I've been a part of it. You're going to be okay. Like we said earlier, that encouragement is huge in life. Yes, that's part of making sure someone needs to hear what needs to be said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I have a takeaway myself, and you just touched on it. With us as men being responsible, and this is the one thing that I would definitely teach others moving forward, You can be responsible for a lot of things, but it is not your duty. You're not obligated to fix everything. You don't have to take on this unneeded responsibility. You don't have to be accountable for things that don't have any effect on your future if you don't want it to be. I mean, we sometimes we just do so much, we take on so much, we want to help somebody so much, but that's not our duty. That's not our, we're not obligated to fix everybody just because we think we're in a position to. Oh man, and a lot of that comes with our companionship selection. You know, we pick out, no, I know for me, I used to pick out women that needed me. They were down on their luck, they couldn't, and I liken that back to the issues I had coming up. And I let that affect my companionship selection. And I picked needy people and I tried to fix them. I tried to fix, and that only hurt me. It made me reprioritize my life. I ended up losing myself in these two marriages, and I just didn't progress in life until I got out of that and I prioritized self. So my word that I'm going to take forward, and I'm taking it away from this, is that you do not have to fix everybody. You do not have to fix everything. It's not your responsibility, nor is it your obligation. You only have one person to be accountable for, and that is yourself first. Then once that is established, then you can bring in others. But until you get to that point in your life, I don't recommend you taking on a family, taking on a girlfriend, taking on this or that, and just bringing somebody along for your ride, you know, pulling the anchor, so to speak, or dragging the anchor, the old ball and chain, how we used to describe it. You are responsible for yourself. You are accountable for yourself first, and it's not your obligation to fix everyone else. And that's the takeaway I got from this. Prioritize self. It's okay. You can be selfish and get self squared away first, because that's the ideal way. I've learned that now. That's more ideal. Just square self away first. Then you can take on the responsibility of being accountable for others. So, gentlemen, I I love you all. I thank you all for joining tonight. This has been a great help for me, and it's encouraging to me that this information is out here now, and it's all recorded. So, and if you guys want a part of this recording, even the guys that showed up late, I'll send you the whole recording after it's over, probably tomorrow or so, the next day, and just let you listen in on the parts that you missed. But does anyone have any other comments or concerns or questions about tonight before we try to turn it over?
Hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
You listen to Erica Badu?
Yes, sir.
Go back and listen to Bag Life.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yes, it is, man. And I'll just leave you with this, and the guys with this. It's like going to the airport and you're running late. You and your significant other, y'all both have luggage. You both have carry-on, and everything in the airport is a distraction and a delay. But you need to make this plain. All right? That's our life, okay? You never stop because you know you have an obligation to be at a destination. And you're flying first class, by the way. So you got a lot of perks with that. But man, that Bag Life, man, she bring it home if you really listen to what she's singing about. You have a meaning to it. So I'll leave you with that. That's a nugget that you can go and do some research on that.
Yeah. I think some of the words were, taking it in a general sense. If you're carrying too much, it's going to slow you down. You're going to miss your connection. And
all right. That's it. That's it, brother. That's it. And Pastor preached on that about 2-3 years ago, man. And it stuck with me because that was me. I had a choice like you did with different relationships in my marriage. I chose the needed one. And the Bible tells you, charity starts abroad. That means it starts at home first.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I ain't gonna preach tonight, but man, I enjoyed it here. It blessed me. I know it did because I needed to hear it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. It is very encouraging, and I hope we can all write down. I hope we all wrote down, or you can remember the takeaways. And the next person we talk to, ask them a question, what is a need and a want? Next time you're pulling that young one aside or that knucklehead aside, you're like, come here, man, let me holler at you. Tell me about your 5-year plan. What's your priorities? What's your goals or something like that, and now we got some more bullets, more ammo for the gun, and we can pop them heads and get them up, get them set right, get them squared away. And that's, I'm just grateful for you guys. I'm thankful for you guys, and I hope that the follow-up and the continuance of this it keeps us going and keeps us together, for one. Next month is another one, right? November. It's after Thanksgiving, right? It's gonna be November 29th, and it's gonna be nature and nurture, and the environment is coming up. So I'm glad we touched on that tonight, but we're gonna really go in deep with that one on the next one. Nature versus nurture, and that's November 29th, all right? So I'm telling y'all that now so we can, it's on a Tuesday, not a Thursday. So it'll be Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So try to clear up some time for maybe an hour or so like that. Don't come in on CP time, come in on time. And we can all work together. Does anybody have anything else before we, I take a volunteer to pray us out? Anyone? Anything else? No, I think we have a chaplain here that can pray us out if he wants to. If not, take any volunteers that can say a quick prayer for us going on the way out. Don't be shy.
Okay, I can pray us out.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Unless someone else wants to.
Come on, chaplain.
Let us pray. Most gracious and eternal God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for your love and kindness. And God, we even thank you for this panel on tonight and the wisdom and knowledge that has been shared with each and every one of us. And God, I pray and ask that through this panel that you would mold us and make us into better men, stronger men, and men that will be role models that will be able to help each other out and even this younger generation. God, I ask that you will lead and guide each and every one of our footsteps and that you will meet and provide our every need. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Each one teach one. And if we just pass this knowledge on to one and that to the other, we can touch everybody eventually. So I thank you guys, and I appreciate you all giving me the time for this, taking time out your evening to be with us on the XY Perspective. I look forward to seeing you all next month. I hope the whole panel is with us next month. It'll be after the holidays, so we'll all be a little heavier by then, So just thankful to everybody, and I appreciate you all. Y'all know my email. I will be in touch with all of y'all through email, text, phone call, whatever y'all need to talk about, whenever. So I appreciate you all, and thank you all again. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. All right, gentlemen, have a good night.
All right.
Take care.